Happy New Year. I come to you in a time of immense peace and progress because I just got a new washer and dryer installed into my flat. This is something that is incredibly important to me and not something I did not think that would happen. Welcome back to my couch, and I hope that you guys are all doing well. I had a good time. My birthday actually just passed, so happy birthday to me. I'm older now. But yes, whenever I say or like or but yes or so, I'm reminded of this tweet or something I saw, some kind of free. It was something on some kind of online medium where it was like if you listen to a child like what they used to talk like back in the 1800s or even 1933, you would be ashamed of the way that you speak. Like we can't speak without so many insert words. I definitely cannot. Good morning. Good evening, good afternoon. Sorry about the lighting if you think it's a bit boof. It is a bit boof. I thought I would make a fun video in the tradition of being a YouTuber on a channel with a channel of getting a list together to sort of plot out the things that I wanted to say like this isn't really a predictions video. It is a kind of predictions video, but it's more manifestations. These are things that I really hope to see in the niche art net world, both on and offline. To balance out the positivity, I've included some things that I hope I do not see, which I think will make a positive impact. Taking away a negative leaves a positive imprint. And I have, of course, done it. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We're serious. This will be 2026 niche net slash art predictions and opinions and manifestations. It begins now. First thing that I hope to see in 2026 that I predict to see in 2026 is decentralized education. I think this is not just the self-made curriculum thing that has kind of been going on for a couple of months now. We saw kind of prop its head up in 2024, but I think this is the decentralizing of education, not just in an institutional way, but in a platform way. I think that we get a lot of our information from YouTube videos, from Substack essays, and we form a lot of our thoughts and opinions off of that. I think that we're going to make a lot of big moves to see more people go to different platforms, not just YouTube, not just Substack, not just Instagram, like Reels or TikToks or For You page or anything like that, but people populating more of their opinions from other sites. I think we're going to see more Wikipedia entries being read. I think we're going to see more people clicking on the references at the end of the Wikipedia entries. I think we're going to see a return to people looking at old forum sites and stuff like that, which I think is good. With these multiple platforms, there are going to be a lot of new and interesting finds that people have to offer to themselves. There will be more sharing. My second in of 2026 is going to be hypersourcing. Hypersourcing, I think, is something that is already happening. In a conversational sense, we're already hypersourcing because we are contextualizing conversation pieces in another conversation with someone when we're regaling them with a specific fact or a specific thing that we found about. So it's never, I was talking to, I don't know, Julie. It's like, well, it was funny because after me and Julie were kind of connecting the dots about certain things, so and so's name came. And in so and so's name coming up, Julie said this, which I think is it's our own form of conversational hypersourcing. I believe that hypersourcing is going to become more of a thing. I think people are going to, I hope people are going to start giving the longitude and latitude of locations. I'm looking forward to us pushing the boundaries of what sourcing is by citing coordinates. I hope that we start citing the timestamps in a podcast or a TV show or something be included as specific and very important information, integral information in a citation. Playing with the hyper specificity of what our world is now, leaking into our language and leaking into how we like play around on the internet and in physical space would be really, really fun. This includes referencing coordinates, like I said, citing poems or again citing conversations as if they are Harvard, MLA, APA formatted to the T. I think that would just be so sick. That'd be so sickening. In that, there's a kind of connection. I've put all of these like in a random order, but if I was speaking them all in the order that I was putting them in, I think it'd be really funny for you to see the flow of information and ideas that was going on as I was thinking about these things because I can see it and I think it's just really funny. I think that 2026 is gonna have blatant copying. Please. Please, please, please. I love copying. I love copying. I mean, there has been this thing for ages where everyone's always talking about, like, oh, so and so's already done this, or well, it ends up that me and Adam McIntyre. I wish that me and Adam McIntyre were talking about the same things, girl. Please. I would love Adam McIntyre's opinions on like art and cultural research, like dense topics, because I feel like someone who has such Adam McIntyre has a Wendy Williams grasp on celebrity culture in pop culture, and it's important to history. But anyways, me and Adam McIntyre are making the same like video about the same topic, and we have basically all of the same points. And I'm not going to be saying that much different from Adam McIntyre, but like this is just like no, 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 no. I want people to say Adam McIntyre said this, so I'm saying this too. She said that, so I'm saying that too. In my desire to go back to the video response era, I want people to very, very obviously say, I watched this video, I listened to this made me do this, and I'm responding to this. And I'm going to do it by mimicking this. I'm going to go over these talking points point by point in my essentially video response, but also just my completely separate video entirely, et cetera situation. I mean, look at what's happening in our current like cultural meta. We have people who are literally launching entire lawsuits, smear campaigns over copying, so-called copying. I don't know. There's a lot to say about that. But the salon existed the way that it did so that everyone kind of everything kind of smeared together. Look at H.P. Lovecraft. A lot of his famous works were in direct response to looking at, winking at, nudging at all of the different writers in his cohort and the people way before them who were doing this kind of American Gothic science fiction. I beg your pardon. There is no trying to rejig the figure. Lovecraft said, I'm just going to reference it. It is what it is. It is what it is. I actually am really, really keen on how you were talking about this little psycho. I'm going to make my own version of this little psycho. I'm just going to make it a little bit different. We should look at each other and go like that, just a little bit more wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We're using the same paintbrush. We might be painting the same study. Our paintings are going to look alike, and that's the fun of it. I think that's fun. Something about that is just so fun and silly. It's so silly and so fun. Copy, copy, copy. When I'm saying copying, I'm letting take an incredible direct inspiration from, respond to, and engage in that inspiration. That I think is the copying that I'm referencing. I'm not talking about like slop copying. I'm talking about the way that mentors would teach their students by making them just copy a masterwork. That is the kind of copying I'm referencing. Now, me and all 8 of my wodies, we all have done the same thing. We copied something. It all looks different though. There we go. My other prediction, opinion manifestation is a return to rising. Rising is basically the act of hyper customization when it comes to a user interface. You hear it used a lot in reference to people when they're switching over to Linux and they have all these Linux packages to make their desktops look super, super specific to them, very unique. Whether that this is in the presentation of the actual like app icons and what their desktop looks like, or the allocation of how data is presented on their desktop. That is rising. Now, I've started my own rising journey, which has been really, really fun. And I've had having the best time with how popular it's been for people to hyper customize your phone by installing these apps, getting different widgets, and just having fun, having a ball. I think we're going to see that extend to other avenues. And another point to that is that I think hyper customization has become such an important thing. You see people with like bag charms. There's this real return to, we'll get into this in a second because I ended up being right before I even filmed this. There's this real return to building upon something that's already branded by making it your own, however you want it, by whatever means necessary. Now, I do think some of that is very, very cosmetic, but rising is hyper cosmetic. So it's all looks. This is where like face value and integration and nostalgia at play, and do you actually like want to do this, or are you just following a trend or whatever? Come to the conversation. I don't care about that though. On to the next point, digiphysical balance. Now, I have been talking about this in a couple of videos, and it's something that's always in the forefront of my mind. I do think we're going to see a lot more people have a lot more balance between their digital lives and their physical lives. And I don't mean by getting a commonplace notebook, and I don't mean by getting a fully upgraded telephone that supports Discord. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I mean. We'll get to that in a second, too. I'm talking about people having a distinct difference between what they do online and what they do offline, and things existing online and purely existing online, and their very much physical lives being totally separate to that. It reminds me of the days of old on Tumblr where so many people would get so famous from making blogs that involved a lot of their research, basically creating a wish list for themselves and for their lives. These people weren't actually going out trying to get these things, nor were they a lot of the time saying that they lived a certain way. It was just purely the fantasy of it, purely online documentation. That's it. I think we're going to see a shift toward that because I think that is good. I think that we're going to see conversational performance become a big thing. With our market so saturated at this point by podcasts for anyone, by anyone, the abundance of video essays clocking in at over 2 hours, the abundance of true crime documentaries and interrogation videos. We have hours and hours and hours of footage of people just talking all the time, just talking to each other, conversating, all of this, gabbing it up. I think conversational performance is going to become more of a thing. I'm specifically talking in the artistic sense of people making work that makes reference to analyzing this kind of conversational period that we're in and like what a conversation is. But I also think this applies as a whole thing in terms of the broader world. The number one way for people to feel involved, to feel like they matter or that they are seen, is by inviting them to speak. Big brands do it. I think small brands do it. I think artists do it. We interpersonally do it. We like to turn to people and ask them, like, what do you think? What's your opinion? If we feel like they feel left out or like they're disconnecting from a conversation and we want to get them involved again, I think that's going to become a major thing where more people are going to do more things to connect with their audience in a faux sense or otherwise. In thinking about this, I was specifically thinking about like Mindy Su's conversational performances, especially the one revolving around a sexual history of the internet. The idea of a lecture in conversation as a practice and playing off of that. And I would like to see more of that, which really does flow into my next major in lower production. Now, lower production, high quality. I'm talking about the simplicity of a production. I'm looking at that adult's videos. I'm looking at Wild Geese's videos, Ryan and Anna, respectively. I'm thinking about Mike's Mike and a Jenny Nicholson as well. I'm not saying that everything that they do is really simple. It takes a lot of work and research just to find all of the information that you're using in the video and referencing with timestamps and everything included. And these are the kind of people that when they're talking, they're going to put what they are discussing in the video in their descriptions, or they're going to try to at least. This is all to say that the production is actually not that loud. The major in that I'm discussing and for 2026 is something that has been touched upon a lot by different creators, which is this real return to 2013 to 2016 time of living. In terms of fashion, I think indie sleaze has already been creeping in, but I think the major returns to hearing a lot of like hyper techno, donk music, Frutiger Arrow iconography, and editing styles being placed in popular media again from new and upcoming artists really shows that it is going to return to like a 2013 to 2016 span of life. And though that 3 year difference is quite big, by the way. So many things evolved and reshaped themselves. I personally have Substack fatigue, and I had Substack fatigue even before I got on the platform. Like, I was just really sick and tired of it. I think a lot of people are sick and tired of all the podcasts. I think a lot of people are sick and tired of all of the YouTube videos and everything like that. The essays, the essayists coming out of nowhere. And although you get like sucked into watching a video for an hour 45, next time you watch a video essay about just some kind of random pop cultural thing, I beg of you to write down notes about things that actually stick with you or that are actually interesting to you, how that person talked about them and what they referenced. Whatever true crime YouTuber you watch, I want you to verify if they're actually a good person when it comes to investigating and researching these things. Where are they getting their opinions from? I think a lot of people are going to find a lot of big acclaim are going to be people like Anna Maria Luisa. I think Parker Edmondson, who is this YouTuber who he lives somewhere in the South. I want to say he lives in Louisiana, but I'm not quite sure. I forget what specific era he's like centered on. I want to say it's like the 1910s. Incredibly like multifaceted. He did this incredibly interesting experiment with electricity. I think people like that. I think people like Report of the Week. I think that we're going to start doing Report of the Week memes again, and that he is going to become a big thing again. He's always been big. I've been saying Report of the Week day one Stan. But I think that we're going to start seeing people of that variety who have been using YouTube for what I kind of think was its original function, was just as a somewhat casual but still take a kind of formalized approach to it, documenting things, giving their thoughts and opinions, doing their stuff, living their lives, and some people doing it like Report of the Week and Parker Edmonton, and other people doing it like Jube, like Dang Young Choi. I think we're gonna see people like Canal, people like Night Jewel, like Dila get massive. This is where the real power is. People who have leaned into the formal structure of the platforms that they're on, who have stuck to the sort of like 2010s approach to how they do things, who are casual yet formal, who have some sort of enigma to them, who don't let everything all hang out, but they still have this like really amazing, like broad appeal to people because they do expose and release so much without it feeling curated. It just kind of feels like you're going through someone's camera roll, but it's their life. Something like that. I don't know how to really articulate that feeling. Artistic, societal, cultural, fashionable focus in 2026. It's going to be on things that you can't digitize and how you can recreate them or translate them for the digital realm. There's so many people on like Tumblr, on YouTube who talk about like fragrances and stuff like that. I think fragrance has become such a really big thing, and then the way that you smell and how you can manipulate basically your pheromone chemical code so that it can give a different story and how it can be received by other people has been just another thing that we can criticize ourselves on, make like huge rule sets on, invent, and something that we can put it on and wash it off really easily. Quick fire. I'm going to just name off a couple of things in fashion that I believe people are going to be doing again. A major return of the infinity scarf. I believe the infinity scarf is going to come back into play. I think seeing so many people refashioning and using the Alexander McQueen scarf with that skull and bones print is harkening back to the somewhat corny iconography that you would see on Forever 21, American Apparel, American Eagle, All Saints branded identity scarves. I think, along with the fact that polka dots were a big thing, and I think a lot of people still think that polka dots is going to be a big thing this year. I'm going to throw it in there, and I think that with the high rise of nationalist ideologies that is spreading all throughout a lot of our world, and the amount of disarray that we see in disaster, I think stars are going to become a big thing again. I'm specifically for American audiences thinking about that real chunky sort of like Confederate Southern star, the sort of star that you would see on a spur in a cartoon, something like that. That high embossed, beveled shape. I think stars are going to be making a return. I'm also seeing a return of, I think a lot of people have been cosplaying as a sort of glitterati crew. I think we're going to see a lot more dirt and grunge. With that being said, I think our celebrities are also going to try to humanize themselves further because they can sense that we are becoming quite fatigued by them and by celebrity culture in general. Not that they sense it, but their team sense it. So I think that we're going to see a lot more celebrities try to be a bit dirtier, a bit grungier. I think we're going to try to see some people pull really old stunts, kind of like Lindsay Lohan and like the cab, the really visceral access to people, to really get these nasty images of them and these nasty videos. And I think now that the public has become paparazzi of themselves, we're going to see a lot of these lines get really shaky on what is a stunt and what is actual like public nuisancery, I don't know, think it's the word, but public nuisancery when it comes to the tracking down of these like celebrities. I also think in this era we're going to see the resurgence of the Instagram girl and what that definition becomes again. I think the definition is going to be someone who is in the music industry, has always been a fashion girl, has done modeling, but is still slightly enigmatic. I'm thinking that people like Canal are going to be completely like blown up this year. I think when before we had our sort of like a Leah core where you had really loud dressing, big bombastic personality, talking in the videos, sharing like stories and everything like that, sharing outfits quite often. I think the more low key, mysterious, but still very sexy, very body, blown out sort of 2010 camera filter Instagram user is going to see their popularity touch a peak this year because so many people are addicted to that aesthetic and all of the like weird shit that comes with it. So yeah, I also think this is like unrelated to anything. I think teeth. Something about teeth. Look out for teeth. Biting and snarling, smiling really big teeth. I mean, something about teeth is going to be, I think, really kind of jumping around our minds. In that sense, I also think that we are going to see a lot of people play more with what having a face even is. I saw a couple of like these designers doing a lot of stuff with these almost like paper mache clay clay on latex masks. We're going to see a lot of playing around with the face and the misshaping of features become quite fashionable. The in between of sexual dimorphism, boy, girl, featureless, feature play. Not having eyes and having a mouth that's too wide, something like that. I think we're going to see some kind of body goo happening, body misshaping. So those are my ins. Those are my hopes, my dreams, my predictions. If any of them come to fruition, I hope that I am leading the charge in some way. Let's go to outs. Let's be a little bit rude. So I really do not like hyper collage thumbnails. I don't. Why do we have so many things? The cluttering of information, and I think um because of that Mindy So thing, I was reading a lot about how the flow of information for us, like how that's evolved and how we process the information in different ways that they're given. And I think that having so many things tacked onto like a single rectangle with your face in the middle or something like that is so loud and so discordant and really, really scary. I'm talking about something that's not trying to be scrapbooky. all of the things that you're referencing and all the things that you're talking about, like all over, and then you in the middle is too much. Sorry. Choose like three or four things. Especially when it comes to video essays, you do not need to stop. It is too much. I did one of my outs was I wrote down all that fucking talking. Like literally do that. Dead air is beautiful. This doesn't help when I'm talking about conversation as a performance piece. But sometimes in conversations, people stop talking, the words die down, and then it picks back up. This is like more complicated. Performing to underscore points. This is mostly in relation to people having a really bombastic way of speaking that is supposed to drive how we listen to them. I've been listening to this book called The Grammar of Angels, and it's talking a lot about this one guy in the Renaissance named Pico, who was a famous orator who everyone was completely obsessed with. And one of the points that's made is that one of the philosophers whose name I cannot remember, I don't remember if it was Socrates or not. I feel like it might have been Socrates. Maybe it was Plato or Aristotle. Anyways, he had beef with public speaking because he preferred everything to be written down, because when people are listening to a public speaker, they can become enraptured by their speaking. They become enraptured by how they talk and how their intonations are. And it's so easy to get caught up in the performance of a point when you're not really analyzing the point. You're not having any formal ways to analyze the point. I think that there was this heyday in video essays, particularly, that a lot of people were making these, like, they were making sets, they were making narratives, character moments while talking about really, really sensitive issues, or even just things as simple as kind of like a pop cultural analysis of a movie and a book. I've loved those. I thought they were amazing. I still think that they were really, really good. I still find them to be very, very interesting and have made a lot of good points. But there is something that I think is following the flow of how disingenuous and performative a lot of our world is, that when I see video essayists, artists, writers, internet personalities of any kind who speak in a really involved manner or doing a lot, I'm like, I'm so tired. Even the way that I'm doing things, I'm like, there are a lot of my older videos I look at and I'm like, calm down and take a breath. You don't talk like that. You literally do not speak like that. What are you doing? This goes back to sometimes it's just be quiet. Another thing that I hope is going to be remixed, remastered, or removed. Girl. I need to make maybe a separate video about this at some point. There are certain works of art about girlhood. There's the conversational introduction and staying power of girly, girl. Even when I catch myself saying it, I want to go, shh, don't. Different one. Pick a different one. I think there is also something that is so insidious about the bubble gum. I have it in quotes in my notebook. Bubble gum corruption. This hyper pink ultra femme aesthetic that has really leaked into, I think, another form of babification, another form of fetish that originally, you can argue, was self-led, for women, by women, about women. Of course, misogynists have their eyes on women's spaces, and they have picked up a lot of the casual lexic, a lot of the inside jokes, and a lot of the terminologies and everything like that in a way that I think is just so disgusting, disingenuous. But I just don't like seeing like it in titles of like videos or essays or people using it just like like it's like, bro, can we please start retiring this? I cannot stop. I can't keep up the girly thing, and I also can't keep up with the girlhood art. It's too much. I put person as a brand image, but then I was like, lol, I just hate the collage style. I put stupid brutalist design styles. I've been trying to put little parentheses about what I was thinking about or referencing I don't know what I was talking about. I have no clue that there's something about influencer fatigue that people are always talking about that I'm like, of course, we have influencer fatigue. Everybody is an influencer. And I think that personality as a selling point is something that very few people can do because when it's just you and you are your only contribution and your life is the only contribution, we have a problem. I think that we have a problem. I think that we have a problem because what at the end of the day are you giving me that I can take away that is tangible, that actually nourishes me, that I can call you an inspiration? For what? For showing me what I can find at TJ Maxx if I go at 3 in the afternoon instead of going on a Saturday morning? I don't think so, babe. I just don't think so. I'm not really quite sure about that. There are such heavy contrasts going on in the world that the middle class is becoming some. I feel like the middle class was actually kind of made up, was it not? I don't know. At this point, it feels made up. It feels like a dream to be middle class. Everyone can be at such different means of living that it feels like a complete and utter farce, like a joke. To see people say someone that lives in Manchester, romanticizing my life living in Manchester. I woke up to quite a grim and rainy day and I stretched my legs up and I decided, you know what, I really can't be asked going to Pilates, but I decided instead to go to gym. I did go to gym around 7 a.m. in the morning, and after that, I got me a cheeky little Grex. Can't wait to try out my new Nivea. Do you know what I mean? It's stuff like that. But they're posting weird, like, I don't know. I don't even know if this one will make the cut. There's a naturalness to the means and modes of creating that I think that we have missed out on severely. And I think a lot of people are very hungry for that. I think that's why so many things from 2016 are cropping up again from just like the 2010s. So many people are starting to say slurs again. So many people are smoking again, thinking about like getting drunk, like drag out, nasty, sloshed, cranked at the club. Yes, of course, you do have the differences. Like, I think specifically in England at the moment, there are a lot of people who want the nightlife to be just as fun, just as energetic, but not as hooked on alcohol, for example, as it always has been. I think alcohol and alcoholism has been a big thing in England and a big conversation about having teetotal, parties and functions and stuff like that. It's the desire to reclaim that energy. Here's an out for you. I'm sick and tired. I actually am really sick and tired of seeing people talking about going analog. And in 2026, hoping it stops. This relates to the digiphysical balance. Seeing people purchasing phones that, again, fully upgraded specs so that you can still go on Discord on your phone. You essentially have an iPhone 17, but it's a jelly flip phone that you got off eBay or Depop or Vinted or something. Urban Outfitters is going to start selling phones like that just because you guys are making it such a thing. I want you to catch that because when Urban Outfitters starts doing stuff like that, then you know you went too fucking far. Please, I beg of you. So yeah, I think I covered everything in my list. I think those are the things to look out for. I hope. Again, these are my predictions, opinions, manifestations. I hope I haven't upset anyone. If I have, sorry. I'm sorry about that. I've been talking for like an hour now. I feel pretty chill. I made like a coffee hot chocolate. So I think it's probably kind of cold by now, but I'm still lit. I'm still gonna drink it. And I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. Happy 2026! Happy birthday to anyone who had a birthday. I obviously had my birthday as I stated at the top of the video. Do I talk too fast? Let me know. I do think it's really interesting, again, the trend cycle, seeing people who kind of codified the aesthetic that we looked at, the kind of high contrast, dirty, grimy, sleazy, do anything, say anything culture. They are the people who are the quote unquote like the natural spirits, like clean heads, annoying LA influencer type. I really just think that this is the big pendulum like that you expect to see. We've tried so hard to lean towards curating a cleaner standard of living, not just in terms of what we eat and what we do, how we exercise, but how we communicate with each other, how different areas of life are, that's how body positivity came into play. That's why we had people going after Anita Sarkeesian back in the day, PC culture, woke mob, this, all of that. There was a genuine effort for a while to do something with that. I do think people wanted to make the world better and make us more happier, more connected to each other. But I also think in doing that, it somehow backfired because people got really annoyed and really over it. And I think the culmination of all of those feelings, of all of the woke mob, woke left jokes, you joke enough that something ironic turns into reality. But I also think people are tired of constraints in general. I think people are tired of restriction. And I think that you see calls for that. I mean, look at the D Squared show that just happened. It was this call for, I think specifically, cis men really to get rid of all of these like muted colorways and this restriction and these like cages and be stupid, silly, fun, gay, glitter bomb, bright colored, abstract, sharp, ripped, torn up. Get messy, get loud, let's get loud. Like literally just get loud. But not like that, but like from here. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that I can make many videos this month and in the following months. I'm going to give myself, I have a challenge for you. I'm going to give myself a little challenge to try to be more happy to make things again. I really do think I just have like a massive energy problem. And like I discussed in one of my other videos, I have so many things that are on my plate that I'm always thinking about. Um, that I'm running at a low grade state of anxiety and stress. But I really do appreciate people who continue to watch my videos, who continue to comment. Thank you so much for speaking with me. And I hope that this was something that was light, fun, a good way to kind of introduce the year. I know I'm like 2 weeks into the year. I want you to ask me if I care. Don't. Yeah, thank you so much. Hope that you guys have a good one. Do you like the setup? Do you like my couch? Okay. Goodbye, meow.